Hello and welcome to the Art of Artisan. Today I have got a spicy one. This originally was an Orzhov deck for Alchemy. However, people generally don't seem to like Alchemy as much, so I have adapted it into a mono black list in Explorer. And it actually gives us a lot of good stuff. But the main card of our deck is Gurgling Anointer. Gurgle. Whenever we draw our second card each turn, we put a +1/+1 counter on it. That rarely matters with this. It's flying. That rarely matters. What matters is this last ability. When Gurgling Anointer dies, we get to return a creature card with mana value less than or equal to Gurgling Anointer's power from our graveyard to the battlefield. So, if we have a Gurgling Anointer that's a 3/5 or a 3/3 or whatever, and then it dies, and we happen to have another Gurgling Anointer in our graveyard, we can use Gurgling Anointer to get back a Gurgling Anointer. And that's where these cards come in. Heraldic Banner on black gives our Gurgling Anointer +1 power. Thran Vigil, when Gurgling Anointer dies, it brings something back to the battlefield, and then we put a +1/+1 counter on it. Dredging Claw, when something comes from our graveyard to the battlefield, it immediately gets +1/+0 in Menace by attaching this to it. So the idea is we get 2 of these effects on the battlefield. We have a Gurgling Anointer with at least 3 power, and we can sacrifice it infinite many times, as long as we have 1 in our graveyard as well. That's a lot of moving pieces, but there's a lot of redundancy here, and in mono black, we actually have some really good ways to find our combo pieces. Also, just to finish off the combo, we have a Sacrifice Outlet in Defiant Salvager, which we can find with Gurgling Anointer if it's in our graveyard, and Zulaport Cutthroat, which is Drain on our opponent. But even without that, an infinitely immortal Gurgling Anointer can be pretty good in some matchups. So the way that we find our combo pieces is Stitcher's Supplier, which mills 3 when it enters or dies, and Undead Butler, which mills 3 when it enters and gets a creature back from our graveyard when it dies, which, by the way, triggers Thran Vigil twice, which is kind of just some fun value, along with a bunch of card draw in the form of Village Rites and Deadly Dispute, which are both pretty much just sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards for 1 mana. We have Call of the Death Dweller to get along with Undead Butler, to get our Gurgling Anointer out of the graveyard, so we can have one in our hand to start it off. And rounding things out, we've got Shambling Ghast, great in any sort of sacrifice deck, especially in some matchups where we need to play out our whole combo at once to prevent our opponent from having sorcery speed interaction, or our opponent taps out or whatever. The treasure tokens are huge for letting us do that. Lastly, since we're milling a lot, we've got Cult Conscript, which is some value that sometimes can be good against control decks, but more than anything, this is useful to pump up our Gurgling Anointer with Thran Vigil. It's something that we can get back from the graveyard. We can also just Village Rites, sack it, and get some card draw. It's decent in a sacrifice deck, especially one with Thran Vigil. And that's Gurgle Infinite. It's a fun deck. It's probably not super competitive, but I can't play Standard right now, and this was the best thing I could find in Explorer after messing around with a bunch of really stupid ideas. So we're going to be going to Explorer and see how this deck does. Let's get to the games. Alrighty, going into game 1, playing against Shallow End. And you'll notice that I'm in Silver Tier. There was another season reset, and I've been grinding Standard. This has nothing. Like, maybe that could have actually been good, more that I think about it, but this is much better. Stitcher Supplier and Undead Butler helps us get something. Dredging Claw is one of our combo pieces. And we will just dump a land, because we are greedy. But yeah, I'm in Silver. I was grinding for so long in Standard, trying to make something work. This is the worst Standard ever for Artisan decks on ladder. Everybody's playing non-synergistic, crazy over-the-top decks, and what that ends up doing is you can't play mid-range because people are playing a bunch of Planeswalkers and stupid stuff with like Mondrak and whatever, but you also can't disrupt them because just a single card from them is good enough on its own. It's not like they need multiple cards together, so you literally have to counter every single card if you want to play interaction, which just is not very viable. So Standard, you can really only play tempo or aggro. Like, even the best control deck for Artisan right now, which is probably blue-black poison, is kind of a tempo deck. Like, you're playing these cards that are designed to slow your opponent down while you're proliferating to kill them, but you're never actually trying to like stabilize the board and turn the corner or whatever. So yeah, it's just really rough. Not a lot of fun deck building space. So we've got do we have any creatures? No creatures in our graveyard. We've got no card draw right now. I'm gonna do a silly thing and stick a Dredging Claw on our Stitcher's Supplier. Make it more valuable for our opponent to kill it. You know, just a little bit more motivation. They might have a flash creature too. Who knows? Nope. All right. So we're just continually applying pressure. Cult Conscript, I'll play next turn when I'll have the mana to bring it back as well. And this is a really solid board here because we're not playing too heavily into a Wrath. This is like barely worth wrathing, but it's still 4 damage every turn, which is a little bit scary for our opponent. They could be a bit more of a combo deck, which scares me, in which case we should just be dumping our hand, going at them with Cult Conscript instead of attaching Dredging Claw that turn. But blue-black, especially with Discovery and Dispersal, I'm thinking our opponent's a bit more of a control build. And Sacrifice is really good against control. It's like everything, we want it to die, and our opponent, their whole deck is built around killing our threats. So that lines up nicely. Oh, I didn't play Cult Conscript. Oh, I'm playing around the Wrath, guys. Here comes Shadow's Verdict or something, and I'll feel super smart for keeping Cult Conscript in hand. And I'm still just, I also just barely recently lost pretty badly in one of the Italian Artisan tournaments, trying something specifically designed to beat Anvil and losing to Anvil. So that's a little disappointing. Between that and Standard right now, I'm just feeling like I'm not as good a deck builder as I used to be. I'm just feeling a little low on that, but oh well. Not important to this video. And we're actually presenting lethal at our opponent. They have to do something at this point. Also, I'm really not liking to edit my videos, so if I'm completely honest, sometimes I talk just to fill the empty space, so that way I can justify just stringing all the matches together, because I already know there's no dead space in the middle. It's a strategy I'm trying right now, because taking differential equations, very busy with that. That class is absolutely awful. And so I just have not had as much motivation to do everything that I'd want to. There we go. There's the Ritual of Soot. We get a lot of triggers. Here we go. We get a treasure token. Oh, I should have stacked these differently. I could have milled 3 cards, and then I could have brought something else back with Undead Butler. That was a mistake. Okay, we're going to bring back Shambling Ghast. I think that's actually our best card here. Citrus Supplier mills 3 cards. Didn't. Nothing I really would have wanted to bring back anyways. An opponent still has something to do. Play a land. Well, here comes Cult Conscript back. Can hit you for 3, and if they kill it right now, we can just bring it right back again. So they have to kill it on our turn, which still is very easy for them to do. You gonna kill it? Oh, mistake, opponent. That's such a mistake. Hi, yep, I have a Cult Conscript. Hello. Sure, I lose a treasure, but oof, our opponent just wasted a removal spell, I feel like. Okay, yeah, we'll swing in for 3. And we'll also play Gurgling Anointer. If our opponent wraths the board, then Gurgling Anointer and Cult Conscript both go to the graveyard at the same time, in which case Gurgling Anointer can bring back Cult Conscript, and the Dredging Claw will attach to it and will be threatening lethal. So even if they wrath the board, we have lethal here. This is an awful matchup for our opponent. Trying to play control against us has got to feel really bad. All right. Okay, how do we play this out? So they have to kill the Cult Conscript right now, which is kind of where we want to be. Yeah. I could move over the Dredging Claw, but then they could choose which creature they want to kill if they didn't want to die. This way, they're forced to kill Cult Conscript, which is the creature we'd rather have in our graveyard right now. Oh my gosh, gain 5 life. That's pretty good. All right, we have enough mana to play a Shambling Ghast and equip Dredging Claw to Gurgling Anointer, because its power does matter quite a bit. And now we can hold up mana to bring back Cult Conscript if our opponent tries to Wrath or anything. Our opponent is digging. I don't know if they're looking for anything in specific or if they're just a Dimir Control deck. I mean, like, they haven't played very many cards, which makes it feel like they're digging for something specific, which scares me a little bit. But they also may just be like a heavy counterspell deck, and we've just been playing a bunch of 1-drops that they're like, this isn't worth countering. So I'd say we're in pretty good shape. Like, just all of our cards come with more cards attached to them. And Cult Conscript, one of in the deck, looking extremely good in this matchup. And one nice thing about running a single card like this in your deck that's good in long games in your graveyard is when the game goes long, you're very often going to see this card. It's, we'll just swing in for 3, I guess. Like, but when you have a card like this, and we do need to present lethal, I think this is actually a better way to present lethal, Gurgling Anointer, because if it dies, it brings back a creature. All right, opponent, what is your plan? Even if you wrath the board, stuff is going to come back. I guess if they have, like, what's it called, Extinction Event, and now that I've said it, I have willed it into existence in my opponent's hand. Oh no, Karn the Great Creator. Yeah, that's probably not going to get anything that can stop us. I'm trying to think. There's no Ensnaring Bridge in this format. Maze Mind Tome. Yeah, sure. Ooh. I think I play this pre-combat. This will force my opponent to use removal if they have it. Okay. And now I just swing in. Alright, that's lethal. At your face. And then if they do something to, like, kill one of our creatures, specifically they have to kill that Gurgling. Oh, they don't kill it. They bounce it. But they have tapped out, and we now have a sacrifice outlet, and we win the game. And this is one of the powers of this deck also, is that the sacrifice package is good at stalling the game and generating value. So even though I wouldn't say that sacrifice is like a good backup plan, it does just add a lot of value to the deck, and it makes us threatening if our opponent entirely is worried about the combo. We do at least present a little bit of something that our opponent has to worry about. We're not all in on the combo, although usually we're going to win through it. Alrighty, on to game number 2. Game number 2, playing against Rattosai, yeah, I don't know. And we've got double Gurgling Anointer with a Heraldic Banner. That actually is super good. We're against a Giganta deck. Okay, so one thing I have run into that destroys our combo is Mayhem Devil. And you may have noticed we are not playing Interaction. If I were playing a sideboard, I'd probably have like Grizzly Sigil in this deck. Maybe a couple other good, just like Fatal Push sort of stuff in black. But if our opponent plays a Mayhem Devil, there's very little way for us to win, which is a little bit scary. They are black-green. Hopefully there's no red as well. I don't want them to be Jund. Okay, Thran Vigil. And we'll swing in with our Shambling Ghast. We're actually really close to comboing off. Not like super duper close, but maybe like an Undead Butler will find us the last piece we need to make it all work. And I love So like Thran Vigil also can work really well with stuff with escape. That is a Priest of Forgotten Gods. Any number of target players lose 2 life and sacrifice a creature. Start off by swinging it with Shambling Ghast. They're pretty obviously not going to block. And we're fine with one of these in our graveyard. So we'll just play it out. Even though it gets no value when it dies. If we draw like a Village Rites, we can sacrifice the Shambling Ghast, draw 2 cards to pump it up. That's kind of cool. Midnight Reaper. Okay. Sacrifice 2 other creatures. All right. Undead Butler. Okay, trying to do some thinking here. We will swing with both. That's a good start. They block the Shambling Ghast. Okay. Then we will kill your Priest of Forgotten Gods. That's a pretty easy choice. I mean, they get to draw a card and take a damage. I guess that's a bit annoying, but I think we're just going to start throwing flyers in the sky. And this now, if either of our Gurgling Anointers dies, we use Thran Vigil to pump up the other one, immediately play Heraldic Banner, and we will be set up with an infinite Gurgling Anointer. Although, important thing to note, if your combo includes Thran Vigil, this only triggers on your turn. So if the opponent attacks you and you block with it, I'll get back Shambling Ghast, but I won't get a +1/+1 counter on the Anointer. So it's really only good on offense. Speaking of offense, Heraldic Banner and a bunch of black flyers is actually not too bad of a plan. Our opponent does appear to be just Golgari. No red in their deck. Which means we have a decent chance of pulling this off. They're a bit more of a grindy deck. And grindy decks die to combo. Especially when they don't have blue. Yeah. Ghost Rider is a pretty cool card. That's a Dredging Claw. Okay. So it makes having 3 combo pieces nice, especially when one of them's Thran Vigil, is we can loop Gurgling Anointer and just start throwing counters around with Thran Vigil, because we only need to pump up the Gurgling Anointer twice, and so we just have this extra +1/+1 counter trigger that we can throw on the Gurgling Anointer. I don't see much that we can do this turn, so I think we just need to go into race mode. And put Heraldic Banner on black and swing in for 2 with each of our Anointers. I'm not actually sure that we're doing good with this race, though. Undead Butler will help a lot. We'll be happy to chump block with it. Yep, they swing in for 6. Makes sense. They probably don't want to kill our Gurgling Anointer. They can see on board how good it is for us. Tyvar, that's why they're playing this deck. Okay. Tyvar is what makes a good green-black. Like, it's cool with Elvish Mystic. You can play Elvish Mystic and then immediately use it for mana, so this is a free card. Elvish Mystic is a free card with Tyvar on the battlefield. And Vran. Oh boy, that's a cool card. And they've got, look at that, Zulaport Cutthroat and Collected Company. Oh, this is a nice deck. And Priest can activate. That's cool. Yeah, they sacrifice 2. I lose 2 life. I lose 2 life again. Opponent loses a life. And I sacrifice a Gurgling Anointer. Does not trigger Thran Vigil because it was on our opponent's turn. We get back a Shambling Ghast. Zulaport Cutthroat. Okay, our opponent is threatening us with lethal. And we don't have a way to beat them. We're actually, like, in a couple of different ways close to getting an infinite power Gurgling Anointer on the battlefield. That requires 6 mana. No, 5 mana. Shambling Ghast can die. Okay. I think I see the way forward. And it's a little bit convoluted. But if we play Heraldic Banner, Shambling Ghast dies, we'll have a treasure token. Next turn we can play if we top deck it. This is all based on having a top deck as well. This will just untap a creature. That means Priest of Forgotten Gods can tap twice. But I need both of these as blockers. Oh, I can play Undead Butler. Okay. Gurgling Anointer brings back another Gurgling Anointer. Shambling Ghast kills Zulaport Cutthroat. That's valuable. Okay. Shambling Ghast, get in there. They let Tyvar die. That is very scary. I guess not really. They know that these are their line, have lethal. Okay, I mill 3. Zulaport Cutthroat in the graveyard. Oh my gosh. If we top deck, we win. Well, we also, yeah, okay. If we top deck specifically our sack outlet, never mind, we're dead. That's lethal for our opponent. That's very lethal for our opponent. Holy cow, we are so dead. That's ultra giga lethal because they've got a third Zulaport Cutthroat. They just sacrificed a Priest of Forgotten Gods and immediately drain us for 8 damage. Yeah, okay, whatever. You attack with Midnight Reaper. You got me. Oh, wait. Is there something cool I can do here? So I block with Gurgling Anointer and get back Zulaport Cutthroat. No, I'm still dead. Priest of Forgotten Gods just wrecks us. Absolutely. We're 100% dead. I'll still get the Cutthroat in case our opponent does something really dumb. Yeah, that's not even activate, only as a sorcery. Yeah, would you like to sack the Priest of Forgotten Gods, opponent? They had lethal in so many ways, and they just, yeah, we're dead. Okay. I wish this was like Magic Online, where you're able to see what your next card is, because I felt so close to comboing off there. We were really close. Having only 2 sack outlets in the whole deck is a little bit scary. I'm generally hoping to just get good value before that point. Maybe I should have more, but I've just done so much tuning on the deck, and this has been what feels best. On to game number 3. Game number 3 versus Fried Panda. That's, I think, illegal considering those are an endangered species. Undead Butler, Village Rites, turn 1 play, part of the combo, decent sacrifice card that can also make our combo kill immediately. That seems like a keep to me. Bolt Conscript, go, go, go. We are an aggro deck opponent. Mono black aggro, fear us. Ooh, that's actually kind of a fun draw. That may help us have surprise lethal against our opponent. Actually, no, they want this as mana. Their Llanowar Elf is mana. As far as clock goes, these are actually kind of equal. Because I don't expect too many things to be dying on our opponent's turn. We mill a creature. No, 2 Call of the Death Dwellers. Oh, okay, this is Mono Green Devotion. Our opponent is playing one of the best decks in the format. And I need to slow them down. I will immediately sacrifice Shambling Ghast to Village Rites. I don't think there's any chance we kill Kiora, which is a little bit annoying. I mean, that's a freaking 7 loyalty. Oh my gosh, we didn't hit a land. We're a 20 land deck, so that's not too surprising, but that's still rough. We didn't draw land either from our draw or the Village Rites. We do now have Shambling Ghast in the graveyard to get back with Undead Butler. Oh gosh, now our opponent can untap with Kiora. That was a mistake. They should put all their Wolf Willow Havens onto 1 land. 100%. Where they have Kiora. I'm black. There's no chance that I can destroy their lands. That is just a misplay. And now I think we can threaten Kiora a little. I mean, if we're winning, we're probably winning by comboing off. Yeah. Okay. We're going to threaten Kiora. Hit them with that. Now sacrifice Undead Butler and hope we draw a land. We need a land here. Take action. Get back our Shambling Ghast. Land. Okay. That's rough. We milled one land, which means other than our starting 7 cards, out of our first 10 cards, there was one land. One land out of all those cards. And our opponent, oh gosh. Shadow Spear, they've got nothing going on. If we can kill Karn, we've got so much. They've got nothing going on if we can kill Karn. They're just a pile of. Oh gosh. We can't hit lands! Okay. Like, if we hit a land, we could have Heraldic Bannered and at least swung at Karn with both and made it impossible for him to downtick. As it stands, I think we just have to double swing at Karn and cry. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's probably the correct call for them. So that hits. And we have to do this. We have to hit land. If we miss on land, we're going to be discarding cards to hand size. Multiple cards. Because we're just generating all this value and drawing all these cards, and it's just not doing anything. Alright, we did get it, though. Oh, what? I didn't want to finish my turn. Oh my gosh, Karn turns off our treasures. Well, the nice thing is we did want a Gurgling Anointer in our graveyard. So that's not actually that bad of a thing. Alright, they get an artifact. What is it? God Pharaoh statue and unlicensed hearse. Okay. That stops our combo. That's a problem. We need our opponent to for some reason tap it. Oh, they exiled the Gurgling Anointer too. Ooh, baby. This is rough. The upside is they have nothing going on. They have literally nothing going on. Kiora, yeah, like they have quite a few Karns in their deck, so I'm going to use our treasure mana now. This as well is a blocker for Llanowar Elves. This also might make them want to use Unlicensed Hearse immediately. And if they do, then I guess things are still awful. Yeah, we're in trouble. We're in so much trouble. Oh gosh. Like, what do we do? Our opponent's going to move over the Shadow Spear. Smart. Yep, they've got a 6/7 life linking blocker. They've got Unlicensed Hearse held up. But we have a way around the Unlicensed Hearse a little bit. We can Deadly Dispute to get something back from our graveyard at instant speed. That's kind of cool. Chances of comboing off, extremely low. Chances of winning through damage, also extremely low thanks to Shadow Spear. And this is why this was the deck that defined the most recent Pro Tour for Pioneer. Okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to play Undead Butler. My reasoning here is, on our end step, our opponent's going to try and exile stuff with Unlicensed Hearse. We can respond by sacrificing Undead Butler to get back one of those things, and we can save our Gurgling Anointer in play. You're going to exile 2 Shambling Ghasts, I assume? Yep. That was indeed their plan. We will sacrifice Undead Butler. We will exile Undead Butler. We will get back a Shambling Ghast. slow down the unlicensed hearse just a little bit. And we draw our second card this turn, and so our Gurgling Anointer is now a 3-power creature. We could sacrifice our Gurgling Anointer to get back the other Shambling Ghast, which seems like a misplay, because they could just exile our Gurgling Anointer very soon. This is crew 2. Yeah, we'll just let that die. I mean, we'd be discarding a bunch of cards to hand size and losing a treasure, like, yeah. We will discard Dredging Claw. Yikes. Okay, they're still drawing nothing. Although they can just make a giant lair of the Hydra. Holy crap, they can make a huge lair of the Hydra. Oh, they might make a mistake. They probably win here if they attach Shadow Spear to it. They saw it. They saw it. They saw that they needed to put Shadow Spear on it. Okay, we have to somehow get lethal this turn through Unlicensed Hearse. So that's 18 trample damage coming. They swing with Cavalier of Thorns. They've got Unlicensed Hearse held up. Okay. So Unlicensed Hearse is for sure going to get Gurgling Anointer out of the graveyard. Yeah, they're going to get both the Gurgling Anointer and the... Oh, there's nothing else in here that they care about. Okay. Yeah, facing Unlicensed Hearse as a graveyard combo deck, not very good. You're just going to pop the Unlicensed Hearse? They're not going to. We are dead regardless. All right, they've got Shadow Spear. They've got everything they need. I guess we've got a tiny sliver of hope. Is this possible at all? I think not. But we will try. Sacrifice Shambling Ghast. And I'd love to kill this Llanowar Elf, but we just need to win this turn somehow. And we whiff. Okay. Got nothing. Yep, there's nothing here. Okay. Yeah, we lose to the best deck, probably. Just as far as raw power goes, this is the strongest deck in Pioneer. So I'm not too sad to lose to it. On to game number 4. Game number 4. Playing against Rodrigo with their nice Ugin avatar. And we're going to be trying to go infinite with Gurgling Anointer, and we have a great hand to do that. And we're on the play, which is always nice. We've got some ramp, we've got some card draw, we've got a decent portion of the combo. We don't have any way to fill our graveyard right now. We do only have 7 cards in the deck that fill our graveyard, but it's usually nice to have one of them. And let's see what Rodrigo is up to. Forest, Llanowar Elves. That Llanowar Elves probably needs to die. So I will play a Shambling Ghast. Immediately sacrifice it to Village Rites. That clears up the blocker. I mean, there's no way they were going to block. I should have done this differently, but oh well. Yeah, I probably should have played Stitcher Supplier this turn. Oh well. Shambling Ghast gets in there. And our land issues, our lands are looking like they may be an issue again. Commune of Spirits. That is potentially, yeah, some sort of ramp deck. Very much still a possibility that they are mono green devotion. Going to be hitting us with Karn and whatnot. Get them for 2. And have I shown you guys my mono black banner deck? I don't know if I have, but if I haven't, black cards with Heraldic Banner is actually a viable strategy. Like, Eye Twitch is a 2/1 flyer for 1. That can get really aggressive really fast. And my favorite card in the deck is Whisper Squad, just because it's a card that's not good anywhere besides that deck. Yeah, Wolf Willow Haven on the untapped land. They've got 2 mana here. Probably, oh, they're looking at Heraldic Banner. I don't think it's likely that they have, like, removal for it, but they could just be curious what it's doing. If there's, it's a card that a lot of people do not know. I think it's a fantastic card. This is probably one of the most underrated cards, like, ever, in my opinion. Just because it does a lot. If you're playing, like, these sacrifice decks with a bunch of 1-power creatures, this is double all of your damage. Maybe not all your life loss, but double all the damage from your creature's combat damage. That's just, that's really strong on a mana rock. Like a 3 mana, add 1 mana. Like, it's a 3 mana rock that says double your creature's power. That's very good. And both white and black have really good options for it. Beseiju the Dredging Claw? They're going to kill the Dredging Claw instead of Heraldic Banner. I think that is objectively not correct. Unless, wait, yeah, there's no reason to not kill Heraldic Banner. It's just better in every way. Unless they're scared of the Menace. I guess they're worried about Menace, but that seems ridiculous. Oof. Old Growth Troll is a good card. I think we just keep the pressure on. I think we're fine to swing out here. Even if our opponent blocks the Gurgling Anointer, we're going to have a bunch of bodies on the battlefield next turn. Gurgling Anointer gets back. There's only one option, the Shambling Ghast. We play another Shambling Ghast. We play a Gurgling Anointer. My computer lags out a little bit. And our opponent is at least threatened quite a bit by this board. If we can get another Heraldic Banner, or even a Dredging Claw, which we could play and immediately equip to Gurgling Anointer, then our Gurgling Anointer can swing in for free every single turn, which is a nice little threat. Heraldic Banner would be the best draw, though, because we would literally just have lethal on board, because our opponent can only block 2 of our creatures. Potentially more if they drew the right cards, but yeah, there's no way to attack right here, opponent. Attacking is a mistake. Swamp. Don't need much more mana. Cult Conscript is a nice hit. If we swing with everything, they block 2, they take 6, go down to 3. They'll have Lair of the Hydra and 2 blockers up. So the only value that would have is if they chose to block Stitcher Supplier and we hit Cult Conscript. There is no reason to attack right now. Sad. And our opponent may win this one. We just have a little bit fizzled. Let's see, what could win us the game here? So Heraldic Banner is obviously fantastic. Some sort of Deadly Dispute or such card would be awesome. They swing with Vorinclex. Oh gosh, Storm the Festival. I forgot that card. That is the card that makes this deck extra broken. Yep, just drop Karn, sure. Drop a Cavalier of Thorns, another reach creature to block with. And at this point, I think we need to go infinite to win. I don't think there's a way we're beating them. Oh, and Karn's got 10 loyalty. And they've got infinite mana next turn. And Portal to Phyrexia. Portal to Phyrexia, when I was testing this deck, I was not as worried about the fact that it kills 3 of our creatures as I was about the fact that it is graveyard hate. Portal to Phyrexia is really slow, really bad, graveyard hate, and it's a serious problem for our deck. Oh, we were going to top deck Heraldic Banner, and instead we top deck a land. And we die. There's nothing we can do. Dropped Portal to Phyrexia. We lose all of our Shambling Ghasts. Making treasures is not useful because of Okay, wait, no. Making treasures is useful. I see the out. There is a possible way to survive here. We leave Gurgling Anointer in play. We need to top deck. Absolutely insanely. Oh, they can threaten us with lethal here, can't they? What can I get back from my graveyard? Not much. Oh, they're just going to swing in with lethal. Okay, we need one treasure. Did I already choose a treasure? What's on the stack? That's a treasure. And then we've just got to slow them down. -1 on one of the Cavaliers. -1 on the same Cavalier. This hopefully scares our opponent into not attacking with that Cavalier. Oh, wait, we're still just dead. Oh, gosh. If they swing in, we lose. There's no way we can survive this. They reveal an artifact card. Oh, it could be Sky Sovereign. Sky Sovereign kills our Gurgling Anointer. Gurgling Anointer gets back a creature. We top deck Deadly Dispute, sacrifice the treasure token. Tormod's Crypt. Fantastic. Oh. Yep, we're dead. There is no way we get out of this. Yeah, Storm the Festival. And this is why the deck is broken. You let them get one turn with Nykthos at like 5, and they just... That's all 4 Cavalier of Thorns. And they can untap Nykthos with Kiora. They get to Storm the Festival twice more if they would like to. I think they should. It would be very fun. Vorinclex, I think, is a mistake in this deck. That's you can't hit it with Storm the Festival. It doesn't really add anything to the deck. Like Karn and Kiora, it doesn't matter if they have more counters on them. I'm not sure why they're playing Vorinclex, but I mean, go off, opponent. You're lagging out my computer. Yeah, we're dead. We're dead. All right, losing record guaranteed. And I guess we go on to game 5. Game number 5. Playing against Arabella. And we need... I want to get the combo once. I've gotten it so many times testing the deck while tuning all the numbers, and I have not gotten to show it to you guys. There's no card draw in this hand. Besides Stitcher's Supplier, kind of his card draw. Rather an Undead Butler. I don't think we can throw back that hand. This hand, though, it's a little bit too good. Lands and spells, you know. Lands and spells you gotta keep, right? And opponent looking to be mono red with some nice mismatched lands. Oh boy, what are we? Dragon's Fire. Luckily does not exile our Shambling Ghast. Now, there is no reason to play Dragon's Fire over some other cards unless you have dragons in your deck. Are we playing against a dragon deck? Is that what this is? Mono red dragons? You're going to see a Sarkhan this turn to ramp them up. Maybe a Orb of Dragonkind. Alright, a ramp card. They're going to create a treasure most likely. I doubt they destroy our... Okay. This is actually very close to doing something crazy. Grand Vigil, no. We'll lead off with Stitcher's Supplier. We've got a blocker now. Grand Vigil. Now we need to get Gurgling Anointer down, attach Dredging Claw to it, and have something leave our graveyard, and get another Gurgling Anointer in the graveyard, and get a sack outlet. That's all we need. That's it. That's it. And then we're good. Heraldic Banner makes it a lot simpler. Okay, Gurgling Anointer, we just need another one in the graveyard now. So we'll drop Heraldic Banner, which makes our opponent's life a little bit tougher. We'll put it on black. And we will swing in with Stitcher Supplier. Our opponent may just be happy to trade 2 damage for 2 damage. They may have some sort of removal spell. Okay. Yeah, Plundering Barbarian, once we have this Heraldic Banner down, is not doing much for our opponent, so I agree with them that this is a good block. Might as well just trade it off now. You don't want to be taking 2 damage from these Stitcher Suppliers. Our opponent gets drained for 1, which we don't care too much about the fact that they got drained as much as the fact that we gained some life. Got Undead Butler in the graveyard. With Undead Butler in the graveyard, we can be okay with Gurgling Anointer dying at 2 power to bring back Undead Butler, play Undead Butler, hopefully mill over another Gurgling Anointer. That's a potential line to doing some cool stuff. Our opponent looks at Dredging Claw. This is a card that even if you played Draft a lot, you probably do not remember because it was garbage in Draft 2. This card is just awful and only really has value in a combo deck that cares about the power of your creatures coming from your graveyard, which I've looked very deeply if there was any other cards that would benefit from Theron Vigil and Dredging Claw, and Gurgling Anointer is pretty unique in that regard. Yep, there we go. Mono Red Dragons, as suspected. They swing in, bonk us for 6. Undead Butler. That is a good draw. Okay, Undead Butler. Mills 3, Gurgling Anointer. Not a Gurgling Anointer. We will play one out then. We'll swing in for 2. This is looking a little bit scary now that we have nothing going on in hand. We've got 8 Village Rites effects, which are all great with our Undead Butler here. We will not block with Gurgling Anointer yet. There's a chance that we want it to be at 3 power, like we draw another Undead Butler. All right, we will let our Gurgling Anointer die. Never mind. And we will return. What's our best option here? Our best option is getting more value on the battlefield. We can get Zulaport Cutthroat to stall more, but I think Undead Butler is our best chance of actually pulling something off here. Undead Butler mills us 3. Okay, that's a sacrifice outlet. Doesn't quite work how I'd want, though. Okay. Our opponent is threatening us for a lot of damage. Okay. It is now possible. We Village Rites. Get back Gurgling Anointer. We Village Rites. I'm thinking, opponent. We get back Defiant Salvager. And then we need to hit another Gurgling Anointer. At the very least... Oh no, this is awful. No, we need to play Gurgling Anointer this turn. Literally just for the fact that it will give us a blocker. And, duh, even if our Gurgling Anointer dies, it gets back our protection. So yeah, we get back Gurgling Anointer. We put a +1/+1 counter on Zulaport Cutthroat. Why not? And I love that it double triggers like that. Zulaport Cutthroat. Drain our opponent for 1. We draw 2. We can Gurgling Anointer. Sacrifice it. Have 1 mana left over. Which is not enough. Okay, so I think our play here is play the Gurgling Anointer. Swing in with the Undead Butler. And the Zulaport Cutthroat. I think we just gotta hope that our opponent blocks for some reason. It seems like a mistake on their end if they did it, but who knows? I've seen people do weirder. Do you block the Cutthroat, opponent? I mean, we're threatening them with quite a bit here. If they don't have removal for Gurgling Anointer, although we've seen both Dragon's Fire and Lightning Strike, so odds of them having removal pretty high. Yeah, I think their best play is to just not block here, but they choose to block. Okay. That spices up the game a little bit. So the odds of us dying now are extremely low. Oh, wait, no, they can create treasure tokens. Oh, okay. Double gold span. Okay, what do we have for 3 mana in our graveyard? Not much. Oh, but what we can do... Oh, this is cool. Okay, we can Village Rites the Undead Butler. Undead Butler dies. We will exile it, triggering Thram Vigil, by the way. And we will return to our hand a Zulaport Cutthroat. Put a +1/+1 counter on the Gurgling Anointer. Put a +1/+1 counter on the Gurgling Anointer. It can now block a Goldspan Dragon. We have some card draw and mill to hit another Gurgling Anointer. I have to do this mill now. Because if I hit another Gurgling Anointer, we have everything we need. Another Defiant Salvager. Okay, we can Deadly Dispute our Stitcher Supplier next turn. Even if our opponent has removal for the Gurgling Anointer, they will no longer have enough power to pump up their Inferno of the Star Mounts. Okay, they just preemptively pump it up. And they're going to swing in, I think. I mean, you got to swing in. You've committed, opponent. Oh, we've got this 4/5 blocker. It's so sweet. Even if they swing in with Goldspan Dragon, they can only pump it up to 10. We block, and we can probably swing back for lethal because we've got such a wild deck. Oh, they're double swinging. Oh, they're going to try and kill our Gurgling Anointer with post-combat, maybe? They're going to spend a removal spell on it? That might be what they're planning here. No? Okay, yeah. That's probably what they're planning. Unless they just wanted the treasure. What's going on? Oh. Oh, baby. All right. Do we have just random lethal? So I can play Zulaport Cutthroat, Deadly Dispute it, bring back a Cult's Conscript. That will drain our opponent. That'll pump up a creature once. That'll drain our opponent a little bit. That won't be enough. I think we have to find a way to go infinite. Well, we still have a blocker. Yeah, so we just need to find. Actually, no. I'm going to play Zulaport Cutthroat first. There's a chance they have a 4/4. They have like a 4-power dragon with haste. So every bit of life matters here. We now sacrifice the Stitcher Supplier and hope that we get a Gurgling Anointer in our graveyard. If we do, then we've got a nearly invincible Gurgling Anointer on defense to block this Inferno of the Star Mounts more or less forever. Gurgling Anointer in the graveyard. Draw, we get some manas. We now have 2 extra mana. We can get Cult Conscript back. By bringing Cult Conscript back, we now get our Gurgling Anointer up to 6 power. And yeah, 6 power, which is enough to block the Inferno of the Star Mounts really well. And that is our best play here. Cult Conscript comes in. And that pumps up our Gurgling Anointer. Oh my goodness, the drawing a card buffs on it actually are going to matter this game. Dredging Claw attaches to Cult Conscript. And let's see, what are the odds that this matters? There are actually high odds that this matters. Because this can be the difference between lethal with Heraldic Banner in hand. So I'm going to play this turn so that it's not summoning sick next turn. We're at 5 life, which means another Goldspan dragon doesn't kill us. I'm trying to think, is there any 5 damage dragon that's hasty? I don't think so. I don't think we're dead to anything besides like Goldspan plus Lightning Strike. But if they had Lightning Strike, it would be in their hand right now. Unless they draw Lightning Strike and this is a Goldspan in their hand, maybe. Very unlikely. I think they wouldn't have pumped this up. They would have spent the treasure mana and the 5 mana to play another Goldspan that turn. I don't know. But there's very little chance that they have everything they need to hit us for 5 damage. We block with Gurgling Anointer, trade with the Inferno of the Star Mounts, get back another Gurgling Anointer, pump up our team a little bit, play the Heraldic Banner. We've got 4 threats that are going to be dealing at least 3 damage each. Our biggest one we can give Menace. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Our opponent's dead. We've got him. Like, I'm trying to think through everything. Sushi doesn't do anything for them. Goldspan Dragon does, but they've already gotten... There's 2 of them left in the deck for our opponent, maximum. Probably. If you're running a dragon deck, run 4 of it. It's ramp for your bigger dragons. Like, it's just a good card. Should I attack? I'm going to vote no. And our opponent, it's up to this turn. Even if they can kill our creatures, even if they can kill Gurgling Anointer, if they don't exile it, we just get back another Gurgling Anointer blocker. There's no way for them to get rid of it, especially because they're red. There's like no chance they just kill it. Giving Inferno of the Star Mounts Trample could maybe do it. There's no way they pump this up to 20 power. When it gets up to 20 power, it'll nuke us for 20. They've got 9 mana. So I guess they could have like 2 different dragons with haste that cost 5 and 4 respectively, but I don't know if there's a 4 mana hasty dragon. I think they're all 5 mana. There's the one that you can exert that's 5 mana. That one's pretty good. Goldspan Dragon's great. That one's 5 mana. Yeah, I think we're safe. I don't think there's anywhere our opponent gets out of this. And I think we're going to win once again without the combo. Oh, that's double Heraldic Banner. That wins through a lot of things. Yeah, let's do it. Heraldic Banner. On black. Our opponent, I think, has disconnected. Which is sad. I wanted to see how this one played out. But this is why we only have 2 sack outlets in the deck. Like, sure, a sack outlet here would win the game for us, but we were already winning because we had this impossible-to-kill Gurgling Anointer. Our opponent kills it, and we just get another one back from the graveyard. And especially with this Heraldic Banner, there's not even time to kill it, and then the other one comes back, and while the Dredging Claw thing is on the stack, you kill the other one. I think that's the main value that this Explorer version of the deck has, is that we, first of all, have infinite sack outlets. Second of all, we have the fact that Gurgling Anointer can be completely impossible to kill, and that's a victory. Oh, that was great. That was great. But yeah, I think the power of Heraldic Banner in Explorer with this deck really is super strong. I love Heraldic Banner. It is my pet card. You should play that card. Anyways, let's get to the deck wrap up. 2-3 record, which I think is where this deck deserves to be. It's not a competitive deck. Especially in best of 3, your opponent can start running Graveyard Hate. If they have Soul Guide Lanterns in their sideboard, if they have Unlicensed Terses in their sideboard, you're screwed. It's not going to work that well. But generally, I think this deck is very well tuned. Maybe one more Defiant Salvager. Maybe, but the thing is, Defiant Salvager is kind of a medium card. It really is. It's a really bad card unless we're doing an infinite combo. And so I'm not sure that I want Defiant Salvager in my deck, except for those times. And the fact of the matter is, we won without it, both of our games. Now, the games that we lost, we maybe could have won 1 or 2 of them if we drew a Defiant Salvager, so I don't know, maybe it should be up to 3. If I were to change the deck, actually, there we go. That's the change I'd make. Shambling Ghast, it's a good card, but it doesn't actually thrive in this deck as much as it does in other decks. I think that just having one more Defiant Salvager fixes some of the issues we had. I'm happy with the deck. Gurgling Anointer, fantastic, unique card. I think, so I say I'm happy with the deck. I don't think the deck is good, but I think this is just about the best possible Gurgling Anointer deck you can make. It's not a good deck, but if you're playing Gurgling Anointer in Explorer, this deck is where you should go. And that's what I mean by I'm happy by it. I think everything performed well. Cult Conscript, we saw doing some good aggro stuff in our first game. We saw it triggering Thran Vigil exactly as planned to get Gurgling Anointer some value. So like pump up our Gurgling Anointer. So Thran Vigil, Cult Conscript, love it. Shambling Ghast, Deadly Dispute, Village Rites, Stitcher's Supplier, Undead Butler, like this pile of 5 cards, especially when you add Call of the Death Dweller, which we didn't see at all, but would have been nice sometimes. These 5 cards together really make for a good mono black sacrifice combo-esque shell. Like if you're looking for certain things, like if you're playing Anvil even, I guess Anvil's not something you can get back with Undead Butler, but like if you're digging through your graveyard for any sort of creature in a black sacrifice deck, those cards, fantastic. And Zulaport Cutthroat, it's from a recent anthology. I think it's a huge addition to the format. I really liked it in the deck. And so with all of that, I don't recommend a sideboard for this. I think it's best of one only. We're so all in on graveyard shenanigans, it will not function in best of 3, and black is not good at answering things that answer your graveyard. So with that, I call this deck a success, even though it went 2-3. I suggest you don't build it unless you just want to play it for fun. And keep enjoying Budget Magic and have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.